guys, what's up? It's Trina and this is my June wrap-up. I read 10 books this month, but before I get into my mini reviews of each of those books, there are a couple of other things that have happened this month that are kind of bookish related or booktube related that I thought were really worth mentioning in this wrap-up because they were pretty awesome things. So on booktube this month I hit my 6-month anniversary of this channel and making videos. I also hit my 100th video and 1,000 subscribers, so 3 very important milestones to me, and none of them would have been possible without you guys, so I really can't say thanks enough to everyone who has just clicked on my face in this mess of a channel that I've got going on here. Also this month I had my first ever meetup with another booktuber and I got to meet the lovely Kayla from the channel Kayla Rayne. She actually came to town for a book signing that was happening and it was for Victoria Schwab. Both Kayla and I have started reading Victoria Schwab's books this year and she's quickly become one of my favorite authors, so when she was doing a local event we both wanted to be sure and go to that, and I had a great day just hanging out with Kayla and the two of us made some collab videos together. We did the Rip It or Ship It tag on my channel, and on Kayla's channel we did the Guess That Character challenge, so I'll have links to both of those videos down below. And the last thing I want to mention before we get into the books is a booktuber shout out for the month, someone whose channel I have found this month and have been really loving. I have discovered so many new channels this month because of all of the Twitter love that's going on and the shout out tag that I made and has been circulating. But the one booktuber I want to give my shout out to this month is Ngoc from the channel Happy Comes First. I recognized her name in one of the shout outs videos. I was like, she leaves me comments all the time and I see her on Twitter, and I didn't actually realize that she made videos too. I went and checked out her channel. I love her videos. She's so comfortable with the camera and so cute and fun, and I love her channel and her videos. Definitely check her out if you haven't already, and there's a link to her channel down below as well. Now on to the books. Let's check in with what my planned June TBR was and how I did on that. I read all 6 of the books I wanted to read this month, which is always an incredible feeling. One of those books was actually a DNF. I did not finish it. However, I did read 2/3 of that book and then I skipped ahead to the ending, so I knew how it ended. So just for the purposes of talking about the books in this video, I'm just going to be saying that I read it. So I read 10 books, but maybe that's 9 books and 2/3. So however you want to view it, I'm just gonna, for the sake of ease, say that I read 10 books this month. And my ratings breakdown is that I had 1 DNF, 1 1-star read, 2 3-star reads, 3 4-star reads, and 3 5-star reads. So overall, it had some high ratings this month, but the couple of books I didn't like, I really did not like them. I'm going to move on into my reviews of each book, and I'm going to be going from least favorite to favorite. So to start this list off with a bang right at the bottom of the barrel, the DNF book that I read this month was MAGONIA by Maria Devana Headley. This is a YA realistic fantasy book about a character named Ava who has had trouble breathing her entire life. One day she has a pretty serious attack with her lungs, she collapses, and she wakes up in a world above the clouds where everybody is part bird, and it turns out that she actually belongs to that world and she has an incredible power that could bring about a great change for that world. I do have a full DNF review up for MAGONIA, which explains a lot more about why I didn't finish it and what I wasn't liking, so you can see more of my thoughts in that video. But overall, I didn't enjoy the characters, I didn't enjoy the world, I didn't enjoy the way that the story was being told. However, I would still encourage you to check this book out if it sounds appealing to you, but it just was not for me, and I knew that even if I finished the book, it would not have improved my opinion of it, so unfortunately I did DNF that book. Alright, moving on to not much better. I did have one 1-star rated book this month, so we're gonna talk about that one now. And surprisingly, I gave 1 star to Slammed by Colleen Hoover. Everybody loves this book. I have literally not seen anyone rate it less than 4 stars, so I was quite surprised that I did not like this book. This book is about our main character Lake, whose father has just unexpectedly passed away, and her mother has had to take a job in a different state to support the family. So the very first chapter of this book, we see Lake moving to a new state, and the day she gets there, she sees a hot guy living in the house across the street, and they have a little instant love connection. But then this obstacle comes up in their relationship, and the rest of the book basically explores, can their love overcome it. This book was just full of so many different tropes and cliches that I personally don't ever like reading about, and I can't really tell you what those things were without giving something away. I did not like that it was insta-love. I did not like the characters. I didn't like how grief and mourning were treated like plot twists. I also just didn't like the romance at all. I didn't like these characters together. I thought that the love interest was jealous, controlling, manipulative, and also there was a scene where sexual assault was thrown in just as a plot device because these characters could not make a decision on their own, so let's get a rapey guy in here to kind of force them into a resolution. I don't dig that ever, so I just personally did not like anything about this book, but I would still check out more of Colleen Hoover's work in the future because this is the only book I've read by her, and I'm sure that not every single one of her books is going to be dealing with things that I just don't enjoy. But Slammed was not a book for me. I didn't see the appeal. I'm sorry, but that's how I felt. Moving on to my 3-star rated books this month. They were both graphic novels, and the first of those is Miss Marvel, Volume 1, No Normal. This is by Marvel Comics, and this was written by G. Willow Wilson and illustrated by Adrian Alfona. Graphic novels are a mouthful, man. It's about this character named Kamala Khan who is a teenager, and she kind of idolizes the Avengers and wishes she could be one of them, and then she gets the opportunity to be the next Miss Marvel. This volume just is kind of exploring her origin story and her getting used to her new powers. I liked the characters, but I just felt like the storyline though kind of lacked something because her powers, like exploring her powers, I felt like that was kind of goofy at times, and then who the main bad guy is in this one, I'm not very familiar with the Marvel Universe, so I don't know if that is a villain that should have like had some kind of shock factor for me, like, oh, I know that guy, but I didn't know who it was, and I just didn't really like her conflicts and who she's up against. So in the end, I don't really feel the urge that I want to continue on with the series, and that's kind of how I grade a graphic novel. There are like 5 or 6 issues in one volume, and 5 or 6 chapters of a story should at least get me hooked enough to want to continue. So I just gave this one 3 stars. It's not bad at all. I just don't really know if I want to continue. My other 3-star read of the month was the graphic novel Saga, and this is volume 1. It is by Image Comics, and it was written by Brian K. Vaughan and illustrated by Fiona Staples. And this is like a sci-fi fantasy war set in space. The premise of the story is that we've got these 2 characters who are on opposing sides of the war, and they have fallen in love and had a baby, and for some reason that I didn't really understand, somebody is trying to hunt down the baby, and it just spans several different planets and several different creatures and characters, and I liked the story and I liked the art. The art is really great. However, I felt like almost too much was crammed in. Not enough time was spent on why this war was happening or why people wanted to find them. There is a lot of sexual content and violence, and I felt like the sexual content was just gratuitous. Like, it didn't add anything to the scene. I felt like it was just a shock factor, like, look at me, I can draw a really shocking and mature comic, and at the end of it, I guess I do want to continue on, but I'm not like super excited about it, so we'll just see if that happens or not. Moving into my 4-star reads of the month, and the first of these is another graphic novel. It is Sex Criminals, Volume 1, One Weird Trick. This is also by Image Comics. It was written by Matt Fraction and illustrated by Chip Starsky, and this is a story of a girl named Susie who, anytime she has sex, she has the ability to stop time. She can't control it. It just happens. One day she meets a guy named John, and they start a romantic relationship, and when they sleep together, she finds out that he can do it too, and they can run around in like the frozen time together, and they decide that what they're going to do with that ability is use it to rob a bank. Obviously, this has sex right in the title, so there is a lot of sexual content in it, and because of that I was actually really hesitant to pick up this graphic novel, but I started hearing a lot of people whose reviews I really trust saying that it's actually really great. It's gotten a lot of awards. There's even a TV show in the works for this, so I was like, you know what, I'll check it out, and I was actually surprised. If you've read Saga, there's about as much nudity in this book as there was in Saga, so if you can handle that, don't hesitate on this one just because of that factor. Saga was just gratuitous, but this one is like, it served a purpose to the story. story because it was a story about an event that happens during sex, and a lot of the sex scenes are actually covered up. I did really enjoy the story. The art was amazing. I really liked getting to know John as Susie got to know him, and I loved the narration style of this. And I did finish this really wanting to get the next volume right away, so I'm already in line for that one from the library. So this was my best graphic novel of the month. My next 4-star read of the month was Sloppy First by Megan McCafferty, and this is book number 1 in the Jessica Darling series, which is a YA contemporary series which was published in 2001, and it just centers around our main character Jessica Darling, and it's a diary entry format. She's in high school and her best friend in the world has just left the school and moved out of state, so Jessica is having trouble fitting in with the rest of her group of friends, and then there's a new girl in school and this boy that Jessica starts being interested in. I was reading this as part of an in real life buddy read with 2 of my friends, Holly and Becca. There were a lot of things that kind of were making us hesitant about it when it started out. It was kind of difficult to get used to the main character and how she was talking about some of her friends, because there are a lot of catty behaviors in this book, and there's also a lot of slut shaming. However, I have to tell you guys that I was in high school back in 2001, and back when I was in high school I had no idea what slut shaming even was. I never even heard of that, so it is a product of its time, so I feel like I can't really hold that against it. I also gave 4 stars to The Duff by Cody Keplinger. This is a story of our main character Bianca, who has 2 best friends who are very pretty popular girls, and Bianca is kind of a misfit, and then the jock guy in school tells her one day that she is a Duff, the designated ugly fat friend, and that the only reason that people talk to her is because they're trying to get in with her 2 pretty best friends. And the entire book is Bianca exploring what the term Duff means to her, and does it actually hold her back, or does it give her more freedom to be herself? And then Bianca is actually in a friends with benefits relationship throughout the majority of this book, but she has a crush on another guy, and so seeing how those 2 relationships collide was kind of interesting. It's very character centric instead of plot driven. I felt like there could have been a stronger message imparted about what labels and stereotypes can do to your self-esteem, but like the message was there. It just didn't pack as much of a punch as I wanted, but I did really enjoy the friendships and the relationships in this book. They all have conflicts, but at the end they actually use their words to solve those conflicts. Overall, I enjoyed it more than I was expecting to. I picked this book up because from my June TBR Jar Challenge, I drew to read a book and watch its movie adaptation. So after I finished this book, I did watch the movie, and to be honest, because the book is so character driven, I was thinking the whole time, like, this is not going to make a good movie. Like, they would have to add more stuff, and the movie is completely not like the book at all. If I were rating it the same way I rate books, it would probably be like a 2.5 or 3 stars. Kind of middle of the road for me. I felt like there was just an overuse of really trendy stuff like social media, so in a few years from now that movie is probably going to be very highly dated. And also I didn't find the movie really believable. Like, some of the things the characters were doing and the ways they were behaving in the movie, I just don't think people would actually act that way. It was kind of wacky for my taste, to be honest. We are at my 5-star reads of the month. So the first of those was 7 Minutes in Heaven by Sarah Shepard, and this is book number 6, the final book in the Lion Game series, and that is a YA mystery series. I do have a non-spoiler full series review up for the Lion Game. The premise of the first book in the series is that we have 2 twins, Emma and Sutton, who were separated at birth. The day that they plan to meet in person, Sutton doesn't show up. She goes missing, and Emma gets a note saying that Sutton has been killed, and if Emma doesn't take her place and fool all of her friends and family into believing that she is her twin, then she's next. So Emma agrees to do this. She takes over Sutton's life while trying to figure out who did it. So it is a classic murder mystery series. I gave 5 stars to this one because I wasn't left with any questions. The entire finale was just very well paced. Things were being revealed like from chapter 1, so I definitely appreciated that. This was a great ending to a YA mystery. The next 5-star read of June was A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. This is book number 2 in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. I actually listened to this one on audiobook. I enjoyed listening to this one just as much as I enjoyed enjoyed actually physically reading the first book. The action scenes were kind of iffy in the first book, but in this one I really felt like it was truly a battle happening. I still feel like I am learning much more about these characters and their actual motivations than I ever got from just watching the show before I read the books. I am so enjoying the series right now, so another 5-star read in the series. And we have come to my favorite read of the month, and that was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is an adult fantasy about 4 parallel versions of London, and our main character Kel has the ability to travel to each London, but not everybody can do this. Only a special type of magician, and Kel is one of them. One of the 4 Londons has been so corrupted by magic that they call it the Black London, and it's been sealed off, and Kel somehow stumbles upon an artifact from Black London, and it's a very dangerous piece of magic, and he needs to return it to Black London and get rid of it so that it can't damage the rest of the Londons. On his journey to do this, he gets pickpocketed by Lila Bard, who is just an amazing female character, so of course he has to go after Lila to get the item back. I absolutely loved this book. I loved the writing of it. I loved that there were very enigmatic characters, but also there's not really a lot of romance. This is the first book of a new series by V.E. Schwab, but the story in this book wraps up so well that I don't really know where the sequel is going to go, but I can tell you one thing, I definitely want to read it. So much wow. 5 stars. That's all I can say. Like, pick it up, guys. Pick it up. I'm not trying to force you to do that. Just pick it up if you want to pick it up. We've made it to the end. That's such a long wrap up. So these are all of the books I read in June. Let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought of them. Did you disagree on my reviews and my ratings? You can let me know that. I know that a lot of people will probably disagree on some of them. Sorry. Not sorry. I don't know if I'm sorry. I'm confused. Let me know what your favorite read of June was down in the comments, and my July TBR will be up soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the comments. Bye! Books in your face.